Cosori TurboBlaze versus Chefman TurboX. One of these is going home with you, and by the end of this video you'll know which one without a shred of doubt. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room, heat. Not just how hot these things get, but how they actually move that heat around your food. The Cosori TurboBlaze maxes out at 450 degrees Fahrenheit with a temperature range starting at 90 degrees. The Chefman TurboX caps at 400 degrees. That 50-degree gap matters more than you'd think. When you're searing chicken thighs or trying to get a real char on vegetables, that extra heat makes the difference between crispy skin and something that's just cooked. The Cosori's low end also lets you dehydrate fruit or proof bread dough at gentle temperatures the Chefman can't hit. But temperature is only half the equation. The Cosori pushes air at 3,600 revolutions per minute through a 5-fan speed system. That means it's not just blasting hot air at one speed. It actually modulates airflow based on what you're cooking, cycling between different intensities to cook food evenly without drying it out. You get precise heating that adjusts automatically. The Chefman counters with X-shaped airflow that circulates throughout the basket without preheating. That's genuinely useful if you're the type who throws frozen wings in and hits start. No waiting, no planning, just immediate cooking. In real-world use, the Cosori delivers more consistent results across different foods, but the Chefman gets you eating faster when you're in a rush. Now capacity, and this is where shape becomes more important than size. The Cosori is 6 quarts in a square basket. That square design gives you actual usable space. You can lay out 6 chicken thighs flat, fit a whole rotisserie chicken, or spread vegetables in a single layer without stacking. The depth and width mean you're cooking everything evenly because nothing's piled on top of itself. The Chefman is 5 quarts in a traditional round basket. It'll handle meals for 2 to 4 people just fine, but you're going to be cooking in batches more often. If you're meal prepping on Sunday for the entire week, or you've got 3 kids who all want different things for dinner, that 1 quart difference and the square footprint start adding up. The Chefman's smaller size does save counter space, and if you're in a studio apartment or have a tiny kitchen, that compact footprint matters. Let's get into the build quality, because this is where the price difference starts showing up in ways you'll feel every single day. The Cosori uses a premium ceramic coating on both the basket and the crisper tray. Ceramic is non-stick, heat-resistant, and it doesn't degrade the way cheaper coatings do. User reviews consistently mention this coating holding up after months of regular use. Food slides right off, cleanup takes 30 seconds, and the surface doesn't scratch easily. The Chefman advertises PFAS-free non-stick, which sounds great on paper, but multiple user reviews report the coating flaking off within 2 months of regular use. Some buyers even mention rust forming on the basket. When that coating starts peeling, you're stuck with food that sticks, uneven heating, and a basket that's potentially unsafe to keep using. That's not every unit, but it's common enough that it's a legitimate concern if you're planning to use this thing 4 or 5 times a week. The actual construction quality differs too. The Cosori feels solid when you pick it up. The housing is thick plastic that doesn't flex. The basket slides smoothly on rails, and the control panel responds immediately to touch. It feels like it was built to last several years of heavy use. The Chefman is lighter, which makes it easier to move around, but the materials feel thinner. The basket doesn't slide as smoothly, and the overall build just doesn't inspire the same confidence. Some users report their unit stopped turning on entirely after a few months. For an appliance you're plugging in multiple times a week, that's unacceptable. Controls and functionality separate casual users from people who actually want to expand what they cook. The Cosori gives you 9 preset modes: air fry, roast, bake, broil, dehydrate, frozen foods, proof, reheat, and keep warm. These aren't just marketing fluff. The dehydrate function actually works for making beef jerky or dried fruit. The proof setting holds the exact low temperature you need for rising bread dough. The broil function gives you top-down heat for finishing dishes. If you only ever make frozen fries and chicken nuggets, you won't use most of these. But if you actually cook, having a dedicated mode for roasting vegetables or keeping food warm while you finish other dishes is legitimately valuable. The Cosori also gives you precise control over time and temperature, so you can dial in exactly what you need instead of relying on presets. The Chefman keeps it simple with 4 functions: air fry, bake, reheat, and a frozen mode that defrosts then immediately crisps. For most people, that covers the basics. You can cook everything you'd normally make without overthinking it. The Chefman does have one feature the Cosori doesn't: a shake alert that beeps halfway through cooking to remind you to flip or shake your food. That's a small detail, but it prevents unevenly cooked food and saves you from burning one side while the other stays raw. The touchscreen controls are straightforward. You set time and temp, press start, and you're done. Noise levels matter if you're cooking early in the morning or late at night. The Cosori runs at less than 53 decibels even when the fan is at full speed. That's quieter than a normal conversation, quieter than most dishwashers, and significantly quieter than cheaper air fryers that sound like a hairdryer on high. You can run this while someone's on a phone call in the next room and it won't be an issue. The Chefman doesn't publish noise specs, and user reviews don't complain about it being loud, so it's likely in a similar range. Both are quiet enough that noise won't be a deciding factor. Safety features are standard on both. They're UL approved, they have auto shut-off, and they don't get dangerously hot on the outside during cooking. The Cosori's build quality gives an extra layer of confidence because the housing feels more heat resistant and the components seem better isolated. Neither one is going to burn your house down, but the Cosori feels like it was engineered with more attention to long-term safety. Let's talk about cleaning, because this is where cheap air fryers become a nightmare after a month of use. Both baskets are dishwasher safe, which is table stakes at this point. But hand washing is where the differences show up. The Cosori's ceramic coating means food doesn't stick in the first place. You wipe it down with a sponge, rinse it off, and you're done in under a minute. Grease doesn't build up in corners. Burnt-on bits don't require scrubbing. The coating stays smooth and non-stick even after repeated cycles. The Chefman starts off fine, but once that coating begins to wear, cleanup becomes harder. Food sticks more, grease builds up faster, and you're spending more time scrubbing. The difference between a 30-second rinse and a 5-minute scrub adds up when you're using this multiple times a week. Now let's address what each of these does better than the other, because no product is perfect. The Chefman's compact size is a real advantage if space is tight. It fits under cabinets more easily, takes up less counter real estate, and you can tuck it away when you're not using it. The instant preheat from the X-shaped airflow is also legitimately convenient. You're not waiting 3 or 4 minutes for it to heat up. You go from frozen to crispy without any delay. The shake alert is smarter than it sounds because it actually improves your cooking results without you having to set a timer or remember to check halfway through. And at $70, it's an entry point that won't hurt if you decide air frying isn't for you. The Cosori's limitation is size and price. It takes up more counter space, and if your kitchen is already crowded, that matters. At $120, you're paying a premium upfront, and if you're genuinely only reheating leftovers or making frozen snacks, you're not getting your money's worth from the extra features. The 9 cooking modes are overkill if you're never going to dehydrate or proof dough. Here's the verdict. The Cosori TurboBlaze is the better air fryer, and it's not close. It heats higher and lower, giving you more cooking range. It moves air more intelligently with that 5-speed fan system. It holds more food in a shape that's actually useful. The ceramic coating lasts, the build quality is superior, and the 9 cooking modes expand what you can do beyond basic air frying. At $120, it's the right choice if you cook regularly, feed more than 2 people, or want an appliance that'll still be working perfectly 2 years from now. The Chefman TurboX makes sense in exactly 3 scenarios. 1. You live alone or with one other person and don't need the capacity. 2. Counter space is legitimately tight and the compact size matters more than features. 3. You're not sure if you'll actually use an air fryer and want to test it out without dropping over $100. At $70, it does the job, but you're accepting compromises on durability and longevity. Links are in the description. Pick the one that fits your situation and move on with your life, and subscribe for more comparison videos.